doesn't know the issues of Minnesota.
Okay.
Chicken nugget thing we had.
Put them away for now. You can write in your planner. It's Achievement Project Part 2.
Oh yeah. Is that like the new Gertrude?
No.
Maybe like die or something.
And I'm going to show you the trick here that you can use when you're on Google Sheets. Okay? So what I did is I took my information. That's no good, is it? Can you shift this left?
You had to click on over.
Okay,
to the left.
so you need a title.
Oh, bonus or
Okay,
anything, just-
you need a key. And now the way my key is working is kind of hard to see here, but if you did a ranking on your surveys, like most important, then you're going to have to reverse it for this. Because the purpose of this is like a graphic organizer. It basically lets people what? What's the point of a graphic organizer? No clue?
To see like what the majority picked.
A graphic organizer shows lots of information in a quick look. So I can look at this information and I can tell right away what's important. The way you do it is by including that here, and I'll show you the tool to use. So it's kind of hard to see. Let me see if I can blow it up on that.
Oh, he knows I feel that way, trust me.
Charlie Cheesehead.
That's
their name? Yeah.
Steven Stryker.
Okay,
Fred Smith, that's pretty basic.
there's a tendency for this to happen right after conferences.
Charlie
Lucas.
You know what the tendency is?
Yeah, what?
Gideon Marsh.
Relaxation, Charlie.
Not doing your best again. Oh, I made it through conferences, my parents didn't kill me, so I can coast now. Okay? We only have a couple more weeks and trimester's over.
So if it's straight A's till then screw it up. What was that noise?
But that's not gonna change this, because it's gonna continue through second trimester into third trimester probably. Okay? And this is probably the easiest one out of all the parts of so you're gonna go to Google Sheets, you're gonna create a title for your thing. You're gonna include the people that you interviewed over here. So I interviewed Fred Smith, Donna Dipstick, Charlie Cheesehead, Wilma Wonder, and Bertha Beautiful, and Sven Skier.
That's a wide range of
Okay.
ages.
Notice I have a wide range of ages, which I wanted you to have.
I tried, but I couldn't get anyone over
Okay.
99.
Now, these are the issues that I had. I'm going to show you, first of all, this should look nice. Now, what's missing here is, this probably would look nicer if I did what?
Color.
Well, I could add color, but if these were centered, I think that would look nicer.
What do you mean?
So, if I centered all these numbers, and see, even this one got cut off. So, how can I center it really quickly?
You highlight it and then you
I did
click
it
the
wrong.
center
I did
thing
like
Okay,
under the
so if
lines.
I highlight
1 through 6, you wrote
everything.
1 for the worst and 6 for the
Let me go down a little bit here.
Yeah.
Is that whatever I said?
Oh, I did.
Lucas,
First
one
is
is
the
different.
important.
Like most
So I can
boards,
see everything.
I
So
did
if
6
I
to
highlight
6
all
boards.
these
You just never 1 through 6.
and hit my center button,
Let's back.
Woo!
Okay.
Yeah, so much better.
I think that looks nicer, more balanced. So you're going to try that. Now, you notice on my key here, my number 3 is the most important. Okay? Whatever number you have for first should really have the highest number. So you're going to have to reverse your numbers. So like if you had put a number 1 next to the thing you wanted to be most important on your survey, when you do the spreadsheet, that one should be like a 5 or a 10. Or like here, I had a 3. So whatever is your most important should be your highest number. That's why you have to create a key here. Because when you look at this, I want to find out, I can look here and it's still not quite telling me to find out what's the most important issue to people. What do I need to do here?
Cut it. Cut it off.
Okay, I need to find the average. So if I come down here and look at my totals, this key right up here, you see this little weird looking, let me show it up higher. Can you see it? It's even harder. Let me go 500.
That's a 400.
See, if we did a bend here, it'd be a wide level of range, because it'd be like 8 at the age.
Max is 400. What?
So max is 200.
Oh, and the font's 400.
Okay, it looks like this.
It's a nice font.
Okay? It's a symbol looks like that. Like a backwards E. Okay?
No.
So that symbol, which is on the far right on mine, on Google Sheets, if I use the pull down bar
That
on
is
it,
Leah.
okay,
Put backwards 18.
I can get an average right here. So I go to average,
Oh my golly.
okay,
Oh.
and then I just hit enter, and it tells me the average. So the average score on education is 0.83. And if I want to find the average here, I do the same thing. I can go to average. This saves you going to your calculator,
How come it,
okay? I didn't put it on the right one, but it's a 1.
Wait, do you just press enter when?
Yeah. So I go to average again,
why is this?
okay?
Woohoo!
That's a 1.6.
Do you want it to be lined up with totals?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm doing this quick, so
1.33333.
okay.
1.4.
Mine's 17.
What are you doing?
Move out of my house and never live.
My tally's 46.
So once
I'm 78.
So, once I have all those numbers right away, a person can just look at this chart really quick and what?
No. Which one is the most important?
So, like, what are the totals for, like?
So they're gonna know the most important issue of my constituents was what?
Business.
Okay, was business and industry, something with that. Okay, so if I was gonna think of a bill, if I'm really gonna honor my constituents, I should try to propose a law that what?
Is the most common.
What's most important to them, something in this area. You don't have to, but that's the whole point of your surveys and representing your constituents. Okay?
Wait, so if we.
So then, after you're done doing this, so you put in these numbers, instead of totals, I probably should have put what?
What if people want to remain
Averages, okay? Then you're gonna type a paragraph down here, summarizing your results and your reactions to the results. So I might have said, it appears that the elderly people, transportation was the most important issue. And that doesn't surprise me because they're not driving, and so they need a way to get around or something like that. That's what I would include in this paragraph down here.
Wait, do you just press the text or to get the
No
box?
one, my parents thinking, oh, I'm just walking in.
To get the box and this, I think it's,
Yeah, they have.
I know.
But we need 6,
Do you
don't we?
wanna go
I
to
think I have 5.
Okay, so go to insert.
Jameson.
I didn't print out another.
Okay, you're gonna have to go to insert,
I didn't print out
drawing,
the
I
last one.
believe. And then it's gonna take you to drawing, and there's where you have to put in text box. Right there.
Okay.
So you make the text box in drawing, and then you save it and close, and it'll go into your document. Did everybody get that?
I think so.
If you do it, if you do it in Word, in Publisher, it's easier because you don't have that extra step, but
So this is sheets?
this is in Google Sheets.
Does it need to be in Google Sheets?
No, it's what he just said.
The thing about it in Google Sheets, it's easy to do what?
The
Yeah.
average.
No, you can do the same thing in
Word.
what's the word one called?
Microsoft.
What?
I didn't mean to say that.
Micers?
PowerPoint. I can't think of what the word. The thing is, this is easier to share because all you have to do is share this with me. Then you don't have to print it out.
Microsoft Word.
But you see, so once you have your surveys, this is easy. You're just going to make this chart. Shouldn't take that long. And again, if you use this key, it's a lot easier. Then you have to type them all on your calculator and do that. But remember, you got to flip these around. I don't know how many students last year I told them the same thing, and then they did it this. One was most important. But if you did one most important, then down here it's going to show that what?
Really low average.
Your lowest score is what?
Your best.
The most important. And if you're going to do it that way, then somehow you should include that. Lowest score is most important.
So if we ranked a 1 to 3, then it would be
Wouldn't
3.
the 0 be really helpful?
So if you ranked on your surveys 1 to 3, 1 being most important, then your number 1 on this chart needs to be a higher number.
Used to be 3.
Just make a key, say number 1 is worth this many points, number 2 is worth this many points. Like I did, okay? Some people surveyed they wanted to rank them all. So on all 6 things, they said rank them in order that you think they're most important. Okay? Does everybody understand this part? Jameson?
So I had to rank 1 through 6. Does that mean 6 is like 1 being the most important? Does that mean
No,
that
it makes 6
on
more
that
screen.
So make
on
number
there,
6
it
be
was
like a 1, and number 1's like a 6
Okay.
on this sheet.
Okay.
Because it's easier, most people assume the higher number is what?
Better.
Better, unless you're playing golf.
Ha ha. It's not funny. It's
Which I got to do over this nice weekend in Nebraska.
I knew one kid at a hockey camp that was bragging he got 1,000 in golf one time.
that's sad.
Okay, this is due
And then he died over the summer.
Sounds
Monday.
like a CrossFit, dude.
We have to have
Write it
a
down.
bogey.
Spreadsheet, Monday. Some of you, again, are behind. If you already have your surveys done, you'll get them back tomorrow if you printed them, and then you can start plugging this in. But if you already know the people, you can get all this part done and just fill in these later. You could
I'll
also,
have it tomorrow.
does everybody understand?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna. I interviewed.
Okay, then I wanted to look at something we've already
Interview.
talked about under culture. We are talking about in this next section, demography.
Monstrosity? Watch a part of this, right? Can't just say no.
Okay.
Just gotta believe it.
Demography is our next section. What was our last section?
Culture.
Culture. This is demography. Guess what demography is? You should have read it. I told you guys your test scores, didn't I?
No.
No.
wait, yeah, I forgot about that.
Didn't I?
No.
What? No, you didn't.
Okay, if you want to know your test score out loud, I'll tell you. Otherwise, you have to look on tabs.
We cried for a little bit and then come on.
Sierra?
Yes.
Yes? 92.
Oh, wow.
Bethel? Lily? No? Jameson?
Yeah.
89. Logan?
Woo!
Yep.
78. Adriana? Maggie?
I'm gonna get lower than
Luke.
that, man.
Heck yeah.
81. Ariam?
What?
I mean, it's after conferences.
89.
Dude, here. I'm gonna get lower than you, man.
Callie?
No thanks.
Caleb?
No.
Sam?
Yes.
88. Nathan?
Yes.
76. Leah?
Whoa!
80.
Logan, what'd you get?
Braden?
79.
Lucas?
Told you.
87. Ella?
No. Lucas got that.
Tommy?
Yes.
87.
Tommy's so smart. He should be in Geography World
So
Tour.
what we have to get
Marcel's got to take the test, okay?
Have these been entered in the grade book?
Yes.
That sucks.
Oh, so they're before conferences. It's still
I did better than you, trash.
I'm pretty sure I did. I might have forgotten.
You know why I did better than you, right? 'Cause I played more than
Me too.
Okay?
No, it's because you have Callie.
When did we
next
take this
to you.
test? We took it on Tuesday, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh, that means I'm gonna be great.
So, demographer or demography. Demographer is a person that studies demography. What do you think that means? You were supposed to have read something, right? Read 91 to 95.
I read it on
Then you know this answer.
I forgot everything about the read.
Yeah. What if I read it on Tuesday? And I just forgot? I
Demographer,
already read it.
a person that studies population.
Really about population.
So the study of population is called demography. And part of that study is they look at countries. And they look at developing. We did this when we did the Hunger Planet, so it should be simple, but this was a quick way of telling and maybe looking for some characteristics. Because as we go through this year, I'm going to ask you, is this country that we're studying, is it developed or developing? Okay? So, here's some clues. The gross domestic product. Anybody know what that means?
No. Like all the domestic products.
Sometimes it's called gross national product, and then there's gross domestic product. So it's GDP, or GNP. Okay? That is the amount, okay? That is the amount of money a country takes in, earns from their businesses. Domestic means only earned from within the United States. Does the United States have companies outside the United States?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have companies all over the world.
McDonald's.
Okay, that would be the gross national product. So if they include all the income from all the companies from all over the world, it's gross national product. If you only include the companies that are in our country, it's gross domestic product. Does everybody understand that? So, developed countries, do they have a high GDP or a low GDP? Okay, developed countries have a high GDP. That means, that's developed. Developing has a low. So one characteristic you can always look for in countries is its GDP.
No, I didn't.
You with me, Sam?
Yes.
Really? It doesn't look like it. What did we just say?
That's what I say.
Not quite 100%, huh?
Talking about demography.
Democracy.
Oh, I mean.
The extent of industrialization. In other words, have they gone through the Industrial Revolution? Developing countries what?
No.
This says little industrial activity, industrial, or post-industrial.
Developing are little or industrial?
Little or
They're little industrial
Okay.
or industrial?
Developing is probably more here. Again, if it's a second world country, it's moving toward here. If it's a first world country, what?
It's developed.
It's post-industrial. What does post-industrial mean?
Machines
You're
run
still
themselves.
developing, but you've got the
Machines
So-
run themselves.
Industrial means instead of hand labor, you have
Machine labor.
machine labor. Post-industrial says instead of just the machines are, you still have machine labor, but what?
Computer.
Computers are running them. And people are running the what? Computers.
Machines running.
Okay?
So machines running machines, and people running machines.
No, yeah, people
That makes total sense.
And then if you watch Terminator, then actually the machines are taking over.
Yeah.
The Matrix.
Okay?
I've used tsunami before.
Literacy, what does that mean?
Language. How many of them can read?
Education.
Read and write. Literacy is ability to read and write. So developing country has a low literacy rate. Developed countries have high literacy rates. What's a high literacy rate? What's the United States? Got a guess?
High literacy.
Well, a lot of people in this country are stupid.
Guess what country has the highest?
Logan,
60
Tommy.
or 86.
Canada.
UK.
Japan has the highest literacy rate, 99 point something.
Shitty.
Geez,
Okay.
are you really that rich? Are you really
United
rich?
States is about 98%, I think.
And then
We have a ton of homeless
I'm
people.
sure
Okay, but developing nations might be down in the 40s and 50%. Of the population can actually read and write. Infrastructure. Who knows what infrastructure means? If you don't know these terms, you should write them down because those are going to be on the test. So literacy means being able to read and write. Industrialization means they've got machines from hand labor to machine labor. Post-industrial means machines are being run computers. Infrastructure, what does that mean?
Isn't that is that like the military?
No, that's a different part.
Stock market.
So your infrastructure is like your roads and your bridges and your building. That's your infrastructure. Okay?
Like your roads, buildings, bridges.
So again, their question here. I can't even read the. Can I zoom? Does it help? So strong infrastructure or weak and small infrastructure. So who has the strong infrastructure?
Developed
Okay,
countries.
developed have a strong infrastructure and developing have a weak infrastructure. What does it mean to have a weak infrastructure then?
Your roads are like
Hey, your
cobblestone.
roads are in terrible shape, the bridges,
It seems that everything that is not good is for
That's kind of
Strong infrastructure is what?
Guys,
the developed country.
see, guys, us developed countries, we dire
Hey.
stairs.
telecommunication,
I feel like the greatest thing we've done is
what does that include?
Wi-Fi,
Okay, Wi-Fi, what else?
Bluetooth.
telephone, TV.
Electricity.
This is your whole phone system, your electricity, yes, your internet connections. So large and efficient is developed, small and inefficient is developing. I keep mixing them around, but. Okay, another character, so I might ask, wouldn't that make a good essay question?
No,
Tell me 5
No.
differences between developed and developing countries. How many have we had so far?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Maybe 3. We haven't got one of these.
Okay, when a person studies population, basically populations are only based on these two things, your birth rate and your death rate. Birth rate is just what?
How often?
How many people are being born per 1,000 people? Your death rate is how many people are dying. If you have a higher birth rate than the death rate, what happens?
Then more
Your
population.
population grows. If you have a higher death rate than the birth rate,
Everybody dies.
okay, your population decreases.
Everybody dies.
If it's equal, if these two are equal,
Your population will not grow.
Then it stays the
stays the same.
Excuse
Very simple, very simple math. have one person born, one person dies, and my population isn't gonna grow.
10 people die,
So,
one person.
let's go to
that
these.
person is the Messiah.
Birth rates.
What if one person had a piece of X?
Which countries have a high birth rate?
U.S. Developing.
China.
Developing countries have a high birth rate.
Why?
Developed countries have a low birth rate. Why is that?
Because developing
Because
kids.
we
Because
want
we
to
have
save
so
more
many
money
people,
for
we
our
want to kill all the children.
Because developed don't need them any a growing population. Developing need more people.
Because it all has to do with education and selfishness.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Children what?
Our,
Cost money.
They cost money.
hey.
And they're
first of all,
useless.
They take all kinds of work. If you actually thought down and plotted it according to a financial
It's over $250,000.
picture, okay, people wouldn't have kids.
Why?
It's over $250,000 to raise a kid.
Because they're just costing you money, they're costing you headaches, they stink, you have to change their diapers, okay?
They're useless.
That's why you get a slave to eat it.
What the heck is wrong with you?
So developed nations have this education, they realize this child isn't going to do me any good other than what?
Being annoying.
Work.
Okay, things that aren't measurable, like love,
Immeasurable.
okay,
They love each other, that's horrible.
That's nasty.
What do you mean? You can,
like
you can feed villagers
cooperating
food,
with
that's
God
love hearts.
and being a co-creator,
Wait.
sharing my faith, okay? Those things aren't measured. While in a developing nation, I want another child. Because most developing nations, we said,
Farm.
okay, they farm. I can improve my economic situation if I could get another worker on the farm. And I don't have to pay him a wage. I can have a child. So their birth rates are high. Death rates. There is really no place in the world right now that has a severely high. If we went back to the very beginning of the world and our countries, the death rates were extremely high, and the average age a person died was in the teens. Okay?
Bet I could die.
You can look at the average death rate in most countries now. Okay? Again, Japan, they have the lowest or the highest,
I said developed.
Death rate, but they also have a lot of people.
not death rate, but the highest age a person dies.
So, 86.
But, again, the death rate, so it's higher in developing countries. Why?
Because they don't have access to.
They don't have access to medical, okay, they don't have access to medicines and foods and doctors, okay, and all the comforts that are provided. We saw the different pictures. So the places that are getting hardest hit now by COVID are the places that have no way to treat it.
Why are we
Okay.
being the hardest hit?
Because everyone here is stupid.
If you're looking at death rates, that's what you should be looking at when you look at COVID. Okay?
Death.
Not them.
Wait, is it
developing?
I say hospitalized.
Say everyone.
It's not death.
So
it's hospitalized.
most people, okay, this is how the world started out. Okay? Low birth rates, high death rates.
Woo. Does that mean we should
Okay.
go extinct?
What's that cause?
Extinct.
Population decrease.
Okay? Either decrease or not, or growing very slowly, depending on, okay? Eventually, okay, birth rates increase. What happens to the death rates? They begin falling.
Well, I mean, once you.
High birth rates, falling death rates, going to cause what?
Growth.
Going to cause population growth. And what caused these falling death rates? You know what the first development was?
Scary. Very scary.
First development, first cultural development that cause
Industrialization,
the death rates to begin to fall?
farming, agriculture.
Okay, this, fire.
Hey, is that FDR?
So this is before civilization even happened. So cavemen, when they figured out fire, they could stay warm instead of freezing to death. That means their death rate's gonna what?
Lower.
It's gonna go down, okay? Then, they found out, we said they found out agriculture.
Also being clean.
Now what?
Now they can grow their food.
No, we
Now
killed
you're not,
civilization.
you're not trying to survive just by running around finding food all the time. What's gonna happen to your death rate?
It's gonna lower.
It's gonna lower, and this is gonna actually raise, why?
Because they have more time to.
You got more time to have kids. You're not worried about where's my food gonna come from. And once then, you can have specialization happening. Because you got food, so you can have specialists who actually can do what? They can research what's causing this person to get sick. They can spend time figuring it out by studying different cases. And that's again causing the death rate to what?
Lower.
Fall. Eventually, you're going to get to where we are now. In most developed countries, you have a low birth rate and a low death rate. So most developed countries, the population is growing very slowly. In fact, there are some developed countries that are worried because they're not replacing their population.
So we should kill all the rest
So
of them, put them
there
on
are
the
some
street.
places that are actually paying people to have children. They're giving them incentives to have children.
$20 a day.
Okay?
Bro, Mr. Sims is really crazy.
So that goes up here to population growth. So who has a rapid growth? Developing nations have the rapid growth. Developed nations have a slow growth or no growth. Okay? And then the last one here is where are the people? Urban means what?
Cities.
Cities. Rural means farms, or another word for urban, so you should know all these words. Urban
City,
is city, also means what kind of population?
high,
They call it dense population. Okay? Rural
farm area, plain,
usually means farming areas or agricultural areas, and the term for that is
undense.
sparse. So you should know all those terms. Sparse just means not very many. Dense means lots. We're going to see some countries, the population density is so strong, like
The Hunger Games.
in Japan, you can have a little one-room house, and it's worth millions of dollars.
Why?
Because if you own your land, in Japan, a lot of people don't own the land where their houses are. It's owned by the city. If you own your own land, okay,
You're a billion.
okay, that's primary, because the space is so limited in Japan and some other countries that have a high population density. Okay, does this make sense? So now look at all the different characteristics you can put for that essay question. Right?
Eventually, isn't Japan have to like build a wall or something? If they're not have people and there's supposed to be less people, and they're just gonna abort everyone.
You know what the biggest problem though when people look at population, they think of population problems being a people problem.
Now, it's
Dude, I just put up
How many people are in the world?
in their mouth.
8 billion.
1.5 billion.
8 billion.
So it's coming up on 8 billion, so it's over 7 billion people.
Is it lowering or raising?
The rate, they get just lost.
And the reason why is because the developing countries are increasing, and some people are just paranoid about it. Oh, we're gonna have too many people. When research shows,
Abort.
okay, yeah, that's a solution some people have.
What? What?
A lot of developed countries, most of the developing countries are the ones that are pushing abortion. So developed countries, not developing.
Guys, we're
I've
parents.
tried.
Okay?
I can tell.
I've been thinking for yourself, and I keep-
Again, it's because the media has sold us the message that too many people, there's just too many people in the world. We need to do something about it.
Pop a bullet. One of them nonsense.
And it's not a people problem. We have plenty of space in the world.
So Marshall,
Okay? We have plenty of food. We have a surplus of food. More than enough food to feed the world 100 times over. But what's the problem?
Kill them all.
Not everyone has access to this.
resources.
So, okay, there's plenty of resources to meet the needs of every person in the world. And to probably double or triple our population.
Money.
We'd still have enough resources to meet their needs.
And we have land, right?
Money.
Okay? This is why there haven't been good solutions to the population. When people think of a population problem, it really isn't a population problem. It's not about the number of people.
It's responsibility.
How much money they
Okay?
have.
And you could say it is a resource problem, but it's not in terms of the amount of resources. What is it?
Too many.
Money.
By force.
Selfishness. Distance learning.
Distribution. There we go. See, yeah.
Yeah, because there's like those rich people have like 60,000 pieces of food for the table.
It's about the distribution.
It is a
We make jokes. We go up if that our trash after a school lunch, that would be a feast to 2/3 of the world. The trash that we're throwing away. That would be a feast.
You could probably feed an entire family in the Middle East.
When people come to the United States, that's the biggest thing. Even people from developed nations, when they come to the United States, because the United States has this thing about
They're rich.
choice, and we apply it to everything. So when you go into a store, person in the United States expects to see what?
A lot of variety.
All kinds of choices you can make.
Ramen.
That's the biggest thing when we've had people come to our house and they come to the United States and they come in and go into one of our stores. It's like, wow.
That's a lot of damage.
They go to one of our supermarkets. And this is in countries that are developed countries. People from Japan, okay? People from Korea, South Korea, which are developed countries. But the amount of resources we do and the choices of the resources we have are nowhere close. They're way out in terms of the numbers, okay? And we know that a majority of those resources, what happens? They get wasted. Okay? They're thrown away. We have more than an abundance. But the problem is countries like the United States tends to have them all, and we're not doing what?
Sure.
Distributing them equally around the world. The steps that we can do is basically appreciate that in the first place and not what? Not waste. I would like to say Mr. Hale is so conscientious about that's why I go to garage sales. But you know the real reason I go to garage sales.
Cheap.
Cheap.
Yeah, it's because I'm cheap.
I go to garage sales because I miss human.
But see, I can be cheap, save money, and then I can also feel good. Why?
Because you're not wasting anything.
Because that thing is not going in the landfill. Even better than garage sales is free stuff on Craigslist. That's even better. Okay? You can pick that up on the side of the curb for people throwing away.
I thought 60,000 who's all paid for this? 30? I think they get a nothing from the Craigslist. Like $100.
Let's see if we covered everything.
Let's go.
Wait, Kelly.
It was so long.
Leah, put on your mask. What are you doing?
On Leah.
The study of population.
The study of Leo Leo.
The study of humiliation.
Oh my god.
Let me do a little math. We'll do a little math so we can do these next week,
No, no.
or next time.
18.
How do you figure population density? What does this mean, population density?
The amount of people
There's a
in
lot of
certain
people
area.
in one little spot.
So, it's people divided by,
Area.
Sorry.
Miles.
so all I need to know to find population density is I need to find the number of people
Per city.
and I need to find the unit of land they live in. And then you can find the population density. And all you do is plug in the equation. So if I have 100 acres of land and 1,000 people, what's my population density?
Very high.
All I do is plug it in, so what's the people?
1,000 people.
I said 1,000 people, and I said how much land?
100 acres.
100 acres.
Or
100 square miles, usually they go square miles in our country. Of course, here in Europe, they'd say what?
Kilometers.
Square kilometers, okay? So, 100 square miles, so all I do is take 1,000 divided by 100 and I get what?
5 trillion.
A lot.
Billion.
a big
10.
number.
I get 10. How do I label that?
10 population. No, 10 over.
It's 10 what?
10 people per
It's 10 people
Only 10 miles.
per
100 acres.
acre.
per square mile.
Same thing, no difference.
Lick your lips.
So all you're gonna do is plug in people divided by the unit of land. Now, why do I care about that?
Because then you can know if that's a good place for you to live.
The higher population density, the more difficult what?
Land.
Yes.
Is the distribution of those resources. But even countries that have high population densities, many of those are still developed. Japan has one of the highest population densities of anywhere. And they are one of the most developed nations of the world.
Yes, they have robots.
And they don't have a lot of natural resources. They have almost zero natural resources.
That's why they make technology.
Okay?
So they eat bats.
So they have compensated.
Oh wait.
Okay?
Let's shine it.
United States, this is our problem again.
Sushi.
The biggest complaint
You
people
can put
have,
children by putting bullets in their mouth.
and that's why you guys live out here, some of you live out here in
What? If
suburbia.
there's too much population.
What is suburbia?
What's
Much
suburbia?
cheaper and all that equipment. Much more cheaper than bullets.
Suburbia are the urban areas around major urban areas.
And more private.
Really, it's more like rural areas around.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't know my left from right, and I don't know what.
Everybody's always.
People move to suburbia to get away from the problems of population density. What are some problems of population density?
Oh, traffic.
Traffic. The best thing
Crime.
about COVID for me,
You're on traffic.
okay?
Crime.
Crime.
They're crying. Yeah. If I
How
was
did
police
last,
dad.
how did last year's a crime in our state?
Cheap. Price.
You'll always remember him.
Money.
Shelter.
I don't know how to
Sure.
Remember, but yeah.
What does this Chromebook tire say?
I'll show you some things.
Wait,
Board,
so suburbia is
2016. Died 2020.
What?
Could you repeat the definition?
I was just thinking, because I was in Nebraska and Shickley, where my parents and sister live now, they have 700 people population.
Oh, that's a lot.
I could buy the nicest house in Shickley.
Only still don't leave us.
I could buy the nicest house in Shickley.
Chickly.
Sell my house here, buy the nicest house in Shickley, and put probably $150,000 into the bank.
Wow, that's not mine.
Why haven't you?
Mr. Hell, don't leave us.
Because I have 4 grandchildren that live up in Blaine.
That's
That
Yeah,
I
if you
wouldn't-
go to Texas, you can
that
get
my
a
wife
big house.
One knee time.
would not allow us to live 8 hours away from. What else is the problem? You're missing a big one. Pollution.
I live 8 hours away from your grandparents. You got it.
Mr. Earl, that's $150,000.
Tommy's the pollution.
Okay.
He's the example of pollution.
Wait, what are those?
I know.
These are problems of urbanization, or problems, remember what's urbanization mean? It's a term you should know too.
Building city
Cities.
Okay, urbanization is the growth of cities.
I can't stand up without
Okay,
chair.
growth of cities. So basically, problems of living in the city.
Wait, so those are good.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's so hard.
What's probably the biggest problem why people move out of the city?
Chick.
I can tell you.
Buildings.
Mass murder.
Out of these, which is the number one problem people move out of the city?
Crime.
How many of you used to live in the city? Where'd you live?
I live
It could be like Egan or something.
in Minneapolis.
I used to live in Egan, the biggest city known to man.
White people have a valley
Either
gang.
Minneapolis or St. Cloud.
I used to live in this one
Yeah.
suburb. It was,
The number one,
I consider it a
this
city.
is the number one reason people move out.
Rosemount, yeah.
Woo, alright,
I told you,
let's
we
go.
James, we got
What
it
do you
right.
mean traffic?
Let's go. Mass murder.
No,
is the way to
really.
go.
Racial genocide.
See, traffic, and I'm talking about move from the city to where?
Suburbia.
You have to say racial.
Okay.
It's gonna say genocide.
Because they still need to be where their job is, which is the urban center.
No.
But they're trying to avoid these by moving away from the urban center.
What's that one?
But what's the truth here? The truth is, these are just results of what? These go up, why?
Prejudice.
Overpopulation.
Because of population. As more people you have, the more chances these things are going to happen.
Manifest destiny.
Okay?
Yes.
When I was living in Hay Springs, Nebraska, did they have crime?
No.
Yes, they did.
Yes.
Where do you guys
But
live?
it's like one person maybe out of the whole town. Okay? But if you did that 1%, and you did it in a city like the Twin Cities of 2 million people,
Big.
okay?
Yes, too
That's a
many.
lot more people.
Too many.
So the more people you have, these things just follow.
Is there actually 2 million people in Minneapolis? No. That's a lot of people in Minneapolis.
It's not just Minneapolis, the whole Twin Cities is like a little over 2 million. So you're counting all the suburbs too.